We all know the story of Adam and Eve, the forbidden fruit and their expulsion from paradise. But what if this isn't the whole story? What if humanity's story began long before Adam and Eve? The Bible tells us Adam and Eve were the first humans, but the pre-Adamite theory challenges that view. It proposes humans, or even intelligent pre-human creatures, existed on Earth before Adam and Eve. According to this theory, these beings lived in thriving civilizations, advanced and sophisticated, only to be wiped out or hidden from history. With their absence, Adam and Eve became the start of a new humanity. The pre-Adamite theory raises fascinating questions about humanity's origins, but is there any evidence to support this idea? Take the curious case of Cain and Abel. After slaying his brother, Cain is banished by God, but the text tells us he goes to a land of Nod, where he finds a wife and builds a city. Who were these people? Where did Cain's wife come from if he was the only son of Adam and Eve? The Bible also mentions the Nephilim, enigmatic beings born from the sons of God and human women. Their existence raises questions. Were these sons of God a reference to something beyond humanity? These intriguing biblical clues were enough to spark debate centuries ago. In 170 AD, a fiery debate erupted between a Christian scholar named Theophilus and a pagan thinker, Apollonius. Theophilus upheld the biblical timeline, but Apollonius challenged it, pointing to ancient records suggesting the earth was far older than a literal interpretation of the Bible would suggest. Centuries later, the Roman Emperor Julian the Apostate took things a step further. Rejecting Christianity, he embraced the idea of multiple first humans scattered throughout history, a concept that would come to be known as coexistism. These early debates planted the seeds of doubt. Could it be that humanity's story began before Adam and Eve? Fast forward to the 17th century. The embers of doubt ignited by those early debates were fanned into a full-blown theory by a French scholar named Isaac Le Pereire. Le Pereire's revolutionary idea was that the Bible didn't tell the whole story. He pointed to a passage in Romans 5:12-14. Therefore, just as sin came into the world through one man, and death through sin, and so death spread to all men because all sinned, for sin indeed was in the world before the law was given, but sin is not counted where there is no law. Yet death reigned from Adam to Moses, even over those whose sinning was not like the transgression of Adam, who was a type of the one who was to come, interpreting it to suggest that there were people before Adam, whom he called Gentiles. This pre-Adamic race, according to Le Pereire, lived outside the covenant God established with Adam and his descendants. Le Pereire's theory resonated with some, particularly those struggling to reconcile the Bible with the emerging scientific understanding of human diversity. Unfortunately, this also opened the door for a dangerous interpretation. Some, like the American physician Charles Caldwell, used pre-Adamism to justify racist ideologies. They argued that the pre-Adamic races were inferior to the descendants of Adam, creating a false hierarchy based on skin color. Some, like proponents of the gap theory, used pre-Adamism to reconcile the vast timescales suggested by science with the biblical creation story. They argue for a gap between Genesis 1:1 and 1:2, a period where pre-Adamic humans might have existed before the special creation of Adam and Eve. This interpretation hinges on understanding the Hebrew word used for beginning in verse 1, allowing for a prior creation event before the formless state described in verse 2. Opponents of the gap theory, however, argue for a more literal reading of the text, suggesting the 6 days of creation encompass the entirety of the universe's origin. They might point to verses like Exodus 20:11, which states, "For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested on the 7th day." Think about it. The story of Adam and Eve in Genesis is a cornerstone of Christian faith. It's where we learn about original sin, that whole forbidden fruit situation. If there were humans before Adam and Eve, well, that throws a whole wrench into the works, right? It changes the way we understand sin, redemption, and humanity's relationship with God. But here's the thing. Science has a different story to tell. We have mountains of evidence, fossils, genetic studies that point towards a single human lineage. We all share a common ancestry, evolving over a long period of time. This scientific view clashes with the idea of separate pre-Adamite creations. Now, that doesn't mean the story of Adam and Eve loses its importance. For many Christians, it's still a powerful narrative that explains our separation from God and the need for Jesus' sacrifice. It's a reminder of our imperfections and the path towards redemption. The beauty of faith is that there's room for interpretation. Some theologians see the creation story as more symbolic, conveying deeper truths about humanity's journey. The pre-Adamite theory isn't just a debate within Christianity. It sparks a broader conversation about faith, science, and our place in the universe. No matter how you interpret the story, the core message of many religions remains the same. We are all connected to something bigger than ourselves, searching for meaning in this vast existence. The truth isn't about finding a definitive answer. It's about the ongoing human quest to understand our origins, where we come from, and what it all means. That's the real wonder, isn't it? We might never have all the pieces of the puzzle, but that doesn't mean the journey isn't worth taking. Here's the beauty of it all. This debate encourages us to critically examine different perspectives. It pushes us to ask questions, to explore beyond what we think we know. Dive deeper. Research the pre-Adamite theory. Explore different interpretations of the creation story. The more you learn, the more informed your own beliefs become. Remember, the quest for understanding is what makes us human. Whether you find comfort in the traditional narrative or find science's evidence intriguing, the important thing is to keep searching, keep questioning, and keep that spark of curiosity alive. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of faith and science.